Hi, in this video I have a cool game sent to me by a viewer which I think is pretty instructive, and if you have a game that you think is instructive and could be shared with the chess community, don't be afraid to send me. I will leave information in the description. But without further ado, this was played on chess.com with the white pieces FIDE Master Sigurbjorn from Iceland, and with the black pieces a Russian Grandmaster Nikita Matinyan. Sigurbjorn opened with e4, and we had the Pirc defense. Well, black played g6, but knight f6 would instigate the Pirc. After knight c3, eventually we transpose. After f4, knight f6. The Austrian attack with f4, generally considered the most aggressive option against the Pirc. Knight f3, castles, bishop d3, and now knight a6, which I think is more or less a modern interpretation. Black wants to play c5 and be able to take with a knight, and doesn't mind white crippling the structure here on a6, because he will get a good light squared bishop on b7 as compensation. So white doesn't take, he castles. There's c5, at d5. And now we need to do something with this knight. It could go to b4 or c7. Black went with a knight to c7. And his idea is maybe in the future to press, well, to support b5 first and foremost, but maybe in case of e6 you have some pressure on d5 with both of your knights. But in general it's not a good position for the knight. a4, rook b8, white went queen e1. And this sort of resembles, if you've seen Simon's videos where he's playing the Dutch or games in the Grand Prix, this queen h4 idea can be pretty potent, especially if you coupled it with an idea like f5 and bishop h6, which is a very, very dangerous attacking idea. Let's see what happened in this game. a6 by black. He wants to play b5. But Sigurbjorn is well aware of that and played a5. And this means that once b5 is played, which black kind of has to do, the other option is to break with e6, and that might actually be a better option, but he went with b5. Now Sigurbjorn took, and rook takes. So now there's no pawn on b5, there's no pressure with the pawns here. Black does have this b file, but there's not really all that much to do on it. And now Sigurbjorn just goes on with a logical plan, queen h4. Black goes knight to b5, and now white just goes on with the attack. Okay, there's some tension here, but white ignores it. He plays f5. So this is a good move and noteworthy for two reasons. Number one, what we mentioned, it opens up with bishop, and perhaps more importantly, this bishop is shut down completely. And now black has some pieces on the queen side that can't really participate in the game. So in a way, the pawn on d5 and this wedge here, it's cutting the board in half. So this means that with white's space advantage, with the pawns on d5 and f5, black can't really swing his forces as easily from one wing to the another. So it's easier for white to use the bishop. It's ready to come here. The rook can swing somehow, come here and here. So it's easier for white to swing the pieces, and that's what the space advantage is often all about. Black took on c3 and played queen c7. Black isn't exactly spoiled for choices here. Queen c7 is to play c4, but Sigurbjorn just got on with it. Bishop h6. Okay, black tried c4. We have to retreat the bishop, and queen c5 check. This doesn't really do much. Okay, the queen is better placed here. It might be able to use some squares in the future, but it's very unlikely. King h1. So still the onus is on black to do something, and he doesn't really have a lot of counterplay. Perhaps the best chance was to take on h6. That's not what happened, but it's also not completely clear. Queen takes, and let's say you take on e4. White can take on g6, And here black has a choice, f takes g6, then knight g5 is already winning. We have a threat here and a threat here. So more likely black would have to go for h takes g6, but then rook d1 will protect this pawn, ready to swing the rook, like we said, using the space advantage and potentially swinging the rook. Instead, after king h1, black went rook e8, and this is kind of a move too late. Usually when you play this move, you want to meet bishop h6 with bishop h8, but here you're simply not in time. And Sigurbjorn took on g7 and played knight g5. This is very logical. White is not threatening, which is the key idea of the whole bishop h6 stuff, to exchange the bishops, put the knight on g5, and then take with your f pawn on g6, rook takes f6, checkmate. Czechoslovakia, thank you very much. No soup for you. Good game. And what can black do about this? Well, he tried h6. And yeah, that might be a good idea if we have to retreat with a knight. But having cut the board in half, with these guys out of the game, because of the pawn wedge, we have more pieces attacking. So how do we crash through? Yes, a nice move by Sigurbjorn. He played knight takes f7. And this is just absolutely devastating. Queen takes h6 is threatened. There's not much black can do. He took on f7. But now queen takes h6. What to do? We have a threat here. Either to take with the pawn or the queen. Black tried rook to g8, but it doesn't really help. F takes g6. Black played king e8. What happens after rook takes g6? There's bishop h5. And white just has too many pieces here. It's a general rule of thumb that if you have more pieces attacking, your attack is more likely to succeed. Now you have 3 against 2, and this guy can easily join. So it's more or less 4 against 2. And here after bishop h5, we're already eliminating one piece. So what is already up material here? So this is winning. So after f takes g6, king e8, but white is down a piece. It doesn't matter. We throw more fuel on the fire. We're down a rook, but this pawn is too strong. Black played rook f8 and resigned after g7. So a nice game. The key thing to take away here is the cutting the board in half part with f5. The space advantage and the wedge meant that black couldn't bring his forces to defend. And this is something that you can see in many of Kasparov's games, and an important thing to learn. I hope you picked something up from this game. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have some games you want to share, let me know. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye bye.